Hi there, Steve here. It's a sunny day again, Monday morning here in Palm Springs. I have on my t-shirt, Master and Margarita t-shirt that was given to me by a member from Link who is also a professional golfer, Elliot. And yesterday he invited my wife and I to watch the professional golf tournament that was on here in La Quinta. And we had a wonderful day. I really enjoyed it. He picked up this t-shirt in Victoria, BC at a bookstore. It just kind of reminds me of how I mentioned the other day, this whole polyglot community, people who study languages, they interact in different ways, they help each other. Before I get going, today, by the way, I'm going to talk about immersion. I'm going to talk about immersion because Olly Richards, who is a member of our polyglot community, put out a video which said that immersion doesn't work. And of course, I had a video one or two back where I said immersion is the only way to go. So I'm going to talk about our different perspectives on immersion. Before I do that, though, I want to announce something that I have already put up on Twitter and Facebook, which is a bit of a event that we're doing at Link, where we're asking people to tell me if they had a 30-minute Skype coaching session with me, what would they want me to explain or tell them, or what would they want to talk to me about? And the thing is, just put that in a comment here under this video. If I had a 30-minute coaching session with Steve, I would want him to talk about this, or I would want him to help me with this, and we can talk about language learning. All these comments on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook will be put into a hat, and we will draw, and the winner will have a 30-minute session with me. Maybe if this works out well, I might put the discussion or parts of it up on here on my YouTube channel, and we might even do it again. So please let us know what you would like to talk about, if you could have a chat with me about language learning. Now, getting back to this Olly Richards, Steve Kaufman, polyglots debate. So, lo and behold, I follow different people on Twitter, including Olly Richards. Olly Richards, by the way, is a great guy, an excellent polyglot. Speaks a variety of languages, from Cantonese to Arabic to Spanish to Portuguese to French, you name it. Very helpful person, very much involved in the Montreal Polyglot Conference, and the kind of guy who is always willing to help other people, as well as being a good polyglot. So, lo and behold, here's this thing in Polish. And again, how the whole polyglot community works. Oglądam Steve'a Kaufmana, który opowiada o tym, jak dobra dla początkujących jest imersja językowa. Poniżej YouTube poleca film Olly'ego Richardsa, że imersja to jednak niedobry pomysł. Społeczność polyglotów jak zawsze służy pomocą. In other words, here you have, pardon me, my rusty Polish, but this fellow, Język Maryjski, says, he or her, that two polyglots disagree with each other. Olly says immersion is good, bad rather, and Steve says it's good. So, let's get to the heart of the matter. Immersion, many polyglots disagree about the edges of how you learn a language. There's very little disagreement about certain points. First point is, you can only get the language through a lot of input. That's the Krashen theory, because you don't have the language inside you. You have to bring the language from those people who know the language, or from sources of the language, in order to get it into your brain. And you have to do it massively, because only that way is your brain going to get used to the new language. So, Olly makes the point in his video that you can't just go to Kazakhstan. Maybe that's not a good example, but you can't go to a place. We'll just let that ring. Go to a place and hear the language around you, or spend hours and hours watching television and hope that somehow magically the language is going to enter your brain. It doesn't work that way. So that's where we move from just immersion to comprehensible input. And Olly, by the way, I'm going to leave a link to Olly's video. So Olly says the key issue is that input has to be comprehensible. Olly says in his video that it's possible that through massive tens of thousands of hours of listening to the language, just surrounded by the language, that some of it's going to penetrate. Undoubtedly it does. But it's not very efficient. And efficiency is so important in language learning because time is one of the key elements. So obviously, the more efficiently you learn, the better you learn, the more you're building on things that you know, the more quickly you're going to learn the language. And the more you're going to enjoy the process. So the input has to be comprehensible. So we're really talking about comprehensible immersion. Now, what makes the immersion comprehensible? Now, there are people, and Olly makes reference to this in his video, and I've heard Stephen Krashen say it and others, that you should have input that's only a little bit difficult for you. And this is sometimes defined as being sort of, 95% of the words and only 5% are new. That's where I disagree. I think that once you are in content where you know 95% of it, it's already too easy for you. You aren't learning very much. You have to go through lots and lots of content to acquire new words, because the key struggle in language learning is to acquire new words. I think that, if you just have a book with nothing else to help you, perhaps you have to deal with 95% known words. But the fact of the matter is, when you start into a language, you know 0 words. So how do you get from 0 to knowing 100 words, 1,000 words, 10,000 words, 20,000 words, the vast number of words you need to know in order to become fluent? If you are constantly dealing, first of all, you can't start with 95% known words. You're starting with 100% unknown words. So therefore, we now get to what's possible nowadays with modern technology, with online dictionaries, with link, with a different, with audio. There's a number of different ways that can make content that has 10 or 20% unknown words, which I consider to be a bit of a sweet spot. Obviously you start at 100% unknown words, but very quickly you can move to 50, 40, 30, because as we know, the most common words repeat very often. So as you acquire, just in any content, without even trying, you're going to acquire these most common words fairly soon. And so now you move to about 30% unknown words. And again, as I say, 20%, 15, 20 is a sweet spot where it's not too difficult, and yet you're acquiring words at a fairly, quick pace. So I use link. Other people can use other methods. But when I'm in link, I can look up every word. I can hear the word in text-to-speech. I can save a phrase in text-to-speech. I can listen to it. All of these things are helping me deal with content, so I no longer have to be limiting myself to, just 5% unknown words in order for that content to be comprehensible. The word comprehensible is a bit strong because I'm listening to Arabic lessons that I don't understand more than 10, 15, 20% of them until I listen to it the 10th or 15th or 20th time. But it's comprehensible to me in the sense that I can make it comprehensible eventually if I stay with it. And it's compelling to me because I'm motivated to try to understand more of it. And I can read it again and look up the words again and listen again. So as I do this over and over again, I'm acquiring lots of new words. If I were to rely only on 5%, unknown words, it would take me forever to accumulate the vocabulary that I need. I should add that, again, on the subject of the community we live in, Skype and YouTube and people, and someone recommended to me that I should get this book called Manuel d'Arabe Moderne. Okay, so I ordered it from France. And it's an okay book. There's nothing much wrong with it. Lots of grammatical explanations that kind of go over my head, or either point out things that I've already noticed in the language, like the adjective always comes after the noun. After a couple of stories, you notice that the adjective always comes after the noun. It needn't be pointed out as a major point of grammar, in my opinion, but it's fine. And then it has text like this, but it's difficult for me to read in the book. So what I've been doing is writing now in Arabic, entering these lessons into Link. And then, because I got audio CDs with it, I've taken each of the lesson audios and imported into Link. So I now have these as lessons in Link. I wish publishers of language textbooks would make their texts available digitally to those people who buy. If I buy this text, I should be able to go to a website, download the audio, download the text, and import it into something like Link. Because then this comes alive. I can read, I can listen to it, text to speech, I can highlight phrases, I can do all of those things so that this material becomes comprehensible. And the advantage of going to another source is, as I've said before, variety is very important. So as much as I enjoy the mini stories, the brain needs repetition and novelty. So it's very refreshing for me to go to another source like this and also do the stories there. So I guess what I'm coming to is immersion depends how you define it. I agree entirely with Olly that if I were to go to Egypt and surround myself with Arabic, I wouldn't learn much. I would still have to go back to my room and do some deliberate learning with sort of managed immersion. Immersion that not say 95% known words, but maybe 70, 80%, or content where I at least have the possibility to figure out what it all means. And on that basis, immersing yourself in content. And I guess this gets back to the point that I made a couple of videos ago, and that is, don't stay with very simple material that's too easy. Get yourself into something that's sort of lower intermediate, such as our mini stories at Link, such as the material in this book. I mean, even the first lesson in this book is not that much easier than the mini stories. The language, if you're talking about anything significant happening, is going to be at a level beyond this is a book. And so you may as well get into that, but get into it with the means of understanding what's there. In other words, some kind of system like Link that's going to enable you to cope with 20, 30% unknown words. And that to me is the level at which you can progress quickly in the language. So, in summary, I don't disagree with Olly. Perhaps our definitions of comprehensible input and even the definition that Stephen Krashen has is a little different than mine, but mine is influenced by my experience of learning at Link. And don't forget, if you're interested in having a discussion with me about language learning and you would like me to help you on something, drop a little comment here about what you would like to have me talk to you about in terms of language learning. The draw will be on February the 2nd, and thereafter we'll schedule the discussion. Thank you for listening, and bye for now.